Want to watch this episode? Check it out on my YouTube channel by going to youtube.com/@lanternslive. Welcome to Lanterns Live, the only live stream YouTube channel dedicated solely to the Green Lantern universe. I'm Ralph, and joining me is Frederik Wiedmann. Now, I want to go through a quick list. It might not be quick, but I want to go through a list of credits that you've worked on. You're a composer. You've done all sorts of things from Picard to Dragon Prince, the Primitive War, which when you agreed to do the show is the first thing I popped on while I was creating the thumbnail art. Primitive War, highly recommend that score. But I'm going to go through, Freddie, I'm going to go through just your DC credits, starting with the most recent, which is Batman Caped Crusader. Wonderful series. It's like out now. But let's go back a little bit. And I don't think I'm going to miss one, but if I do, let me know. Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, Batman Red Sun, Wonder Woman Bloodlines, Batman Hush, Reign of Superman, The Death of Superman, Batman Gotham by Gaslight, Teen Titans The Judas Contract, Justice League versus the Teen Titans, Batman Bad Blood, Justice League Gods and Monsters, Justice League Gods and Monsters Chronicles, Batman versus Robin, Justice League Throne of Atlantis, Beware the Batman series, Son of Batman, JLA Adventures Trapped in Time, Justice League Flashpoint Paradox, and my favorite, Green Lantern the Animated Series. Is that all of them?
I think you actually have them all.
Because I think it's
that
20.
Is a long list. I didn't even know how long that was. Yeah, it's funny. Like when you're in this, you're just kind of doing all of it, and then I guess that's what accumulates over years.
So I went backwards in time, and so Green Lantern the Animated Series appears to be your first like DC project. Is that right?
That's correct.
Cool. Okay, so before we get started into your work on all this stuff, I asked this of all my guests the first time they're on, and that is, when was the first time you became aware of the characters from Green Lantern?
Yeah, I have to be brutally honest. It was when I got to pitch for the show.
It's great.
And this is because I feel like I'm from Germany, as you can tell from my horrible accent that is still prevailing. But in Germany, DC comic stuff is popular, but I don't think to the degree that it is in America. So I know Superman, and I've watched Superman on TV. I knew Batman, the animated series, was on TV all the time. Maybe a little bit of Justice League here and there of something. Wonder Woman, there was a live-action show of the 60s that kept replaying in Germany during like daytime, TV. And I think that was the extent of it. So I knew that about DC Comics, but Green Lantern was completely foreign to me. So when my agent reached out about this show that I'm supposed to pitch on, I had to Google it. I was like, what is this? And then I was like, holy, my goodness, there's like hundreds of comics and it's a huge thing. And I couldn't believe I had never heard of it up until that point. So yeah, I was quote unquote green on that material.
That's totally fine. So you did a deep dive on, did you start reading any comics? Did the producers have anything to say, like as far as what you needed to know, or did they give you anything where it was like, hey, maybe you should read up on any of this? Was there any homework that you got from the producers? No,
they didn't. What usually happens in my situation as a composer is I get a brief, which is a description by whoever's in charge creatively, showrunner, directors. And they tell you, like, we're looking for this, and this should be a little bit like that, and maybe reference this as a project in terms of sound and tone. And that's what I lean on when I create my demos or the pitch to get the show. But while they didn't give me anything specific, of course, the first thing I did was buy a bunch of comics. And I don't know where they are anymore, and I wouldn't be able to tell you which ones I got. It was whatever I could get my hands on real quick, because this whole thing happened in like a week span of time. Okay. Where I got the email, and then I Googled, and then I was, okay, Amazon, what can come tomorrow? And then I just found like 3 or 4 comics that I could get quickly. And they came, and I read them and understood the basics of, okay, the ring, there's the power, there's there's Hal Jordan, there's Jon Stewart, there's all these other ones, Guy Gardner, and I got the lay of the land a little bit, and I understood they can fly and they're from another planet. There's the ring power and all that. So that was good information.
Do you remember which ones you picked up?
I don't. I wish I could. Okay. I should probably go to my Amazon history and see. But it's so long ago, man. It was 2011. It's 15 years ago.
Right.
It was
at that time. Jeff Johns was working on the books.
Yeah.
So if you got stuff that was sort of new, you got some pretty good stories in there.
I remember liking it. I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." And then I saw the first bits of footage that they sent me that I was supposed to score. And I was like, okay, this is friggin' awesome. I need to get this show. I want to do something like this. And to give you a little backstory, my career up to that point had been very horror movie heavy. It's been a lot of horror movies, and I love horror. In fact, I just told my agent I want to do another horror movie, so let's get one. But it was I was doing nothing but, and I felt like, okay, I do want to do other things in life. Musically, because it's, I love being challenged and doing different things. So when Green Lantern came along and I saw what it can be and what it would do musically for me, what it would bring out of me, I was determined to get this gig, because this was like, okay, this will turn everything into a completely new trajectory. And I had done, like I said, horror movies to this point, so I got this opportunity to be on this demo roster of 10 composers, maybe more. I don't even know how many.
Oh wow!
They sent this. So Warner Brothers always does cattle calls, where they send things to all the agencies, and then they all pitch their best people for this particular thing. So I don't even know how many I was up against, but my initial demo got me in the room with Bruce Timm and Giancarlo Volpe, who was the other showrunner.
Oh, great!
And so I was in there, and the first thing Bruce Timm says to me was, well, I looked at your credits. You have never done TV. How do we know you can do this? And of course, there was no way for me to prove it, because I hadn't, and he was absolutely right. It was an enormous risk for him to even consider me, because how does he know I can do this every week and same delivery deadline and same quality, and do it for a year and a half or maybe 2, or if we had gotten more seasons, it would have been a 10-year commitment of me just relentlessly delivering top quality. It's something you kind of need a track record for, to prove that you are able to do this job well. So I told him, I can't, there's no way for you to know that I can do this. But what I found out is they need an 8-minute sizzle reel that they needed scored for Comic-Con, which was coming up real quick. Oh, yeah. And the meeting was on Wednesday, and I told him I'll send it to you by Monday, knowing when I said that I will give it to him already by Friday. I just wanted to buy myself a little bit more time, but I knew I could do it by Friday and then really impress him with my speed and quality and all that. So I did that, send it in on Friday, and then I got the email that I got the job.
It's so funny, because that Comic-Con, I was doing an interview on a kind of red carpet, and it's the first time I met Giancarlo. I interviewed him, and I interviewed Bruce Timm, and I believe Jim Krieg as well.
Oh, good.
So I probably saw your work.
Yeah. That was it. That was my first. That was the first thing that I did. And ironically, like, somebody just posted that on Twitter, because the show is now coming back on Tubi. I think it's being streamed there. And they posted a clip from it, which was exactly that whole segment from episode 1. And I watched it, and I was like, oh man, this is like my first superhero treatment of anything. And that set in motion so many other things that came afterwards. It was, and it's an amazing nostalgia piece for me in terms of what it did for my career and everything else. So
I think it's funny that Bruce Timm had his doubts, but you ended up ultimately, and I'm sure it wasn't just with Bruce, ended up working on 19 other DC animated series and movies.
Yeah.
Was it just all because of Green Lantern the animated series?
Well, yes and no. I think that having done that, and that DC and Warner Brothers Animation, then knowing what I can do and the quality of my work, I think that's what helped me a lot to be part of the pitch call that they put out. But they kept for the most part, for the TV shows, they always did the same procedure, which was sending it out to the agencies, getting their feedback, and then, finding what they like. And I was lucky that through that exact same process, I was able to get Beware the Batman, that TV show that came a year later. And then now, Batman Caped Crusader. I've worked for Bruce Timm so many times, and James Tucker too, but they still follow this protocol because it's a company policy. Let's put it this way.
Right.
And it's fair because honestly, I'm not against it because this is exactly what got me to be hired in the first place, which let my music speak for myself without anybody looking at my credits. So I appreciate the procedure because it just lets you, it puts your best foot forward in terms of what you can do. Nobody will look at it and say on your credits, oh, he's done this. Yeah. Oh, he has never done this. So let's not even consider him. It's not like that.
Right.
And I think that leveling of the playing field can be daunting, but at the same time, it lets you really express where you're at and if you're qualified or not. And again, it gave me my start. So I'm never opposed to demoing. I always tell everybody send it to me. I'll pitch in. I'll see what happens. And,
With Beware the Batman, that happened around the same time as Green Lantern, the animated series. Was there an overlap there at all?
I don't remember there being an overlap. I think, these shows take forever to make. I think we had just wrapped Green Lantern. I may have already been on Beware the Batman contractually, but it didn't start scoring until after we were finished. Okay. I don't think there was much. And then,
Green Lantern, the animated series, had that sort of unceremonious, hiatus in the middle of the schedule too. So that might have created an overlap. I remember them being around very, very similar times. What was it like working on the show? How long did you have to score an episode? There's 26 total.
Yeah.
And they were coming out weekly on Cartoon Network. What was that workload like?
It was amazing. I mean, this is just, it's heaven for me doing a show like this because the people I worked for love music. We're providing an incredible environment where I felt like I can do my thing. They would appreciate it, while at the same time getting very constructive criticism or notes. Let's put it. It's not really criticism. It's adjustments, notes. Criticism sounds too harsh for what it was. And it's just wonderful because you can sort of lean in and do whatever you think is best and big and great. And they will be like, awesome, change this small thing here, change this here, revise this, and then we're done. And it's very few cooks in the kitchen. I was basically reporting to Bruce and Giancarlo, and they both were very much in tune with the aesthetics and the ideas. And I work pretty quick. My speed is kind of one of the things that makes me very good for these TV shows. So I can turn around an episode in 4 days, get notes, and have comfortable time to do a really good mix. Do some recording. I think every episode had at least 4 or 5 live musicians. So I would always carve out enough time in that 2-week turnaround time from start to finish to compose it, present it, get the notes, fix it, 2 or 3 days of recording, full day of mixing, and then deliver it and do it again. And it was very comfortable for me. I even took the weekends off. I was playing with my baby at that time. So
that's great.
It was great. It's intense, and you have to know what you're doing, and you really can't be losing much time or messing around with tech issues, which is something that I'm always big on, like having a really solid system and know your system well, and have a backup system in case yours does break. You can just hop over while your assistant fixes the other one, because TV schedules do not wait for you.
Right.
Especially back in the day, this was Cartoon Network they were airing an episode a week, I think. So we were kind of chasing the release of that. Now it's a little different. You kind of do them all in the bulk, and then everything's finished, and then it gets released. So there's a little bit more wiggle room. Like they can say, we're going to revisit episode 1, the final mix at the end when we're finished episode 10, because we can, to plug in whatever fix or change or whatever it is that they need to address. But with Green Lantern, we didn't really have that luxury. It was get it done.
Was it tough, trying to set up emotions for the characters or relationships or anything like that ahead of time? Did you have enough of the story presented to you where you knew things were going so that you can take time to work on motifs and work on character arcs and stuff like that? Was there enough time? Did you have enough in advance, story stuff in advance to kind of get your footing?
Yeah. Unfortunately, in this show, we didn't. It was I think I got hired, did the Comic-Con thing, and a week later I was on episode 1. It was pretty like go, and it was fine. It worked out fine because honestly, the writing was so good that it kind of just unfolded itself very naturally. There wasn't a whole lot of conceptualizing that needed to happen ahead of time, but that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy doing that. In fact, for most TV shows, I love doing that. Like for Dragon Prince, that Netflix show I did, I think we spent 6 months just writing music. Just here's a piece for this world. Here's a piece showcasing the instruments we can use for Zadia and the other worlds and the elves and the dragons separately. Like we spent, I think we had about 45 minutes of just stuff composed, recorded ahead of time before we even did a frame of episode 1, which is cool because by the time we get there, we have it's like a kitchen. You have all the ingredients and you can just start cooking. Green Lantern was like, all right, we know it's a big orchestral score, which is sound palette wise, it's kind of a given. You don't have to find a whole lot of exploration in there. And then you just need to come up with themes pretty quickly, but we were able to do it. So,
were you using live musicians for Green Lantern?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think
how big was the orchestra?
It wasn't an orchestra. We didn't have the budget for it. But I think every episode I recorded the orchestral trumpets.
Okay.
And then there is a lot of solo woodwinds like flutes, oboes, duduk. There's a lot of duduk in there, that Armenian wooden instruments, very, very pretty. Yeah. And sometimes guitars. And what else was like a go-to for Green Lantern? I think it was mostly that. Razor, his theme was played by an electric violin. That was sort of what we came up with. Sort of a little bit strange, otherworldly, but emotional because he has such a dark emotional side to him. And the electric violin felt like a good fit. It has a sci-fi element to it, but it also feels very deep and emotional. So I had this one musician that I brought in for that in particular.
That's great. You mentioned the writing and also that you were sort of basically following the story in real time as it was going along, episode by episode. How long did it take you to start falling in love with the characters? Did you fall in love with the characters? What are your thoughts on the show itself?
It's funny. Like this was often like they send me the scripts of the whole season and be like, here, wrap your head around this arc and I'll be doing that. I'll be reading it and writing themes. In this case, they wouldn't even tell me what happens in the next episode. It was like they wanted me to be in the state of mind of the audience. I would ask like, hey, so does this person die, or is this guy gonna turn into a bad guy, or vice versa? And Bruce Timm would be like, well, I guess you'll have to wait and find. And I'm like, what? What am I? And then, but they didn't want me to know too much. And I think what's interesting about that idea is that it keeps me in a place of the audience that I'm not tipping anything. And it's cool because it totally worked. And every time I was
wondering if you wanted to or not, if you wanted to tip or not, but I guess not.
There was exceptions when, Giancarlo would tell me, okay, but this is going to go there just so you know. And I would be aware of it. Because it would inform some developmental things thematically that would happen. But I was often kept in the dark, and I didn't hate it, to be honest. It's nice to know everything, but at the same time, then I get the new episode in, and I have like this really fresh, exciting excitement about it because I haven't seen it.
Energy.
Yeah,
keeps your energy up.
Shit, that happened. Jesus, that's going to be a big moment, and I felt the importance of that moment because I didn't know, and then I know this has to be musically like a big thing, like a big reveal, twist, whatever it is, because I felt it in real time. So,
are there any of the characters that you really gravitated towards that you really loved writing, or did you just have like a favorite character from the show?
I think the best thing about all this musically to follow was the whole Razor Aya arc. I mean, that was, the way it ends up deteriorating into season 2 and how it ends with Razor taking off by himself to find her. That to me, I have goosebumps just not talking about it because that to me was such a good idea.
It's kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame they didn't continue with the series.
I agree.
But Razor and Aya, who were created for the series, they were not in the comic books prior to the show.
Yeah.
They have since shown up in like a Young Justice episode.
Yes, I know.
They continue.
They even had the little theme, our theme in there. Did you notice it?
Yeah.
The theme from animated series. Yeah.
What's great now is they're actually now part of the comics.
Yeah.
They're Jeremy Adams, who wrote for the episode Scarred, for Green Lantern animated series Scarred, and for Blue Hope, the one where they're on the Blue Lantern planet. He put Razor and Aya in the current run of Green Lantern, and so they're still out there somewhere.
That's amazing. I love that.
So
love that.
it's
and deservedly
awesome to
so.
see them continue. They're great characters.
They're really
yeah. They're really great characters. Were you sad to see the show not get picked up for a second season?
Oh yeah, hell yeah! I could have done this for 10 years and be very happy. Like I said, the whole process was dreamy. Just fun. Just never felt like work. Just like, what's happening today, and who's gonna be in what battle, and who's gonna fall in love with who, and whose love is gonna be crushed and destroyed, and whose planet is gonna just be destroyed, and the entire family. And I mean, it's just, and then again, like Bruce and both Giancarlo Bruce's love for music and appreciation for what it brings to the table is just a wonderful place to be creative, because you know when you go big, they'll be like, yeah, fuck yeah, this is awesome. And
I think it's the thing I find interesting about the series is I love the theme for the opening titles, but that theme doesn't really show up in the actual show itself. It kind of reminds me of Batman the Animated Series, where they had Danny Elfman do the main theme for the show, and then Shirley Walker did the majority of the actual episodes and didn't use the Elfman theme. She had her own version. I feel like you had you did something similar with the main title theme of the show and like Hal Jordan's theme within the series itself.
Yeah.
Was that something that was brought to you? Is that something, am I reading it wrong? I feel like
it was a completely unconscious decision. I don't recall. I'm surprised that you didn't hear the theme throughout the score. I could have sworn it's in there. Maybe not as prominent as a main theme should be.
I'm not a singer, but the theme that I think of when the opening titles happen, it's dun, 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 oh, no, I can't think of I'm getting brave.
That one, right?
Yeah. And then Hal's theme goes kind of like dun, dun, dun. Oh, shoot! Now it's driving me nuts.
I wouldn't be able to sing you those themes either. It's so
performance anxiety. Dun, dun, dun. Oh shoot! It gets stuck in my head a lot too. That's
good.
But I swear it's different than the main theme.
Yeah,
I'm not a musical. Like I don't know anything about writing music. I don't play an instrument. I don't read music. When I was 4 years old, Freddie, my mom wouldn't let me see Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was too violent.
A good mom, yeah. I wouldn't let my 4-year-old watch it either.
But what she did was she got me the cassette.
The music.
John Williams cassette. So since I was 4 years old, which was that 44 years ago? Like I've been listening to film music my whole life. But again, so I feel like I know enough about film music, and film scores and composers and all of this stuff. But when I try to hum a tune, I get anxiety because I'm like, because I'm here with you and I'm like, I'm going to try to hum your tune back to you. And I feel like I just got anxiety doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Where does it go?
See, if it were more recent, I could probably sing it for you. But all these themes from that show are a little bit lost on me because it's been I've written so much music.
15 years.
And there's been
a
lot of themes in between. But I remember there was a theme for the Star Sapphires. Is that what they were called?
Yeah.
Hal Jordan, obviously Aya, and then Razor, and then their love had their own theme too.
Right.
Atrocitus had a theme, a bad guy theme. So there was a lot of that. Yeah, it was. This kind of, like I said, we didn't have time to work out a lot of that ahead of time, so we kind of went, "Hey, we need a theme here for this. Okay, great, let's make it."
Right.
And it's going to be just in the episode, and then possibly comes back later at a later time. And
right.
yeah,
I'm gonna bring up something that again will maybe something I misremember, but I feel like it's a really deep cut, and you might know the answer to it, or it might be too deep of a cut. Giancarlo Volpe directed JLA Adventures Trapped in Time, which you composed.
Yeah. So fun.
But also, in addition to him directing and writing and producing and all that, I believe I remember he had some sort of... He performed an instrument on that score. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah. He told me
was it a mandolin?
It was a mandolin. So Giancarlo is Italian and, therefore obviously plays mandolin. That's a given. But he
Right.
told me about this and I'm like, dude, we got to put you on the score. And then he was like, all right, if you have a cue that works, then let's do it. And we found one. So he came over. He was sitting right here in my studio, pulled up the mic, and, we just laid down some tracks and he crushed it. But he's featured playing on the score. Yeah. So he's right. He probably, I think he wrote it. He directed it. He played on it.
Produced it. Yeah.
That's
so fun.
What can't he do?
Exactly. I need to get him on here. I've been bugging him for a while, but I've been so busy lately that I forget that I need to keep on bugging him. He said he'd come on whenever he's not busy, but I don't know when that is.
I hope you can catch him.
I don't want to.
I'm sure it'll be a fun conversation.
I think so.
And
I think I'll be able to.
Yeah.
I think I'll be able to. Let's shift gears. First of all, a lot of folks in the chat here are big fans of Dragon Prince.
I see that. These
Kirk
comments popping up are fun to see.
Yeah. Kirk asks, will you be back for the Dragon Prince movie?
Is there one? What do you know that I don't? I would hope that there will be a movie at some point, and if there is, I would be more than down to doing it if they call me. Absolutely. I mean, I feel like I've set the tone for the world, so I would love to continue that because this is another show we did 7 seasons off, and it's an enormous body of work that is very particular in the instrumentation and themes and everything. So I would love for there to be more. Dragon Prince was just like Green Lantern, another one where it was just fun, not work. Because
Giancarlo worked on that as well, right?
He did, yeah. Talk about what led to it, which thing led to another. This is how that came about.
Yeah, I didn't watch the show. I didn't watch Dragon Prince, but my wife did, and so I would catch glimpses here and there. Yeah. And I should have just sat down and watched it with her. But when you're married, there's some shows that one spouse watches without the other because like. Timing works out, and it's like, I
know that very well.
Like right now, like I've been really busy. I've been taking trips to LA on Sundays, and I come back and she'll have watched like, what is she watching right now? Resident Alien with Nathan or with Alan Tudyk. So nice. And then when she's gone, I'll watch, I don't know, whatever. but yeah, I want to talk about this because it is so current and it's out now. I watched the first season and loved it. I need to start watching the second season, but that's Batman the Caped Crusader. It seems like is Bruce Timm involved with it?
Yes. Bruce Timm, James Tucker, Matt Reeves, and J.J. Abrams are the producers.
Right. Oh my gosh. I was at Bad Robot around the time that show was starting up, and they found out I was a Green Lantern fan, probably because I was wearing a ring. I usually have something Green Lantern related.
That would give it away. The ring.
And one of JJ's assistants was like, "It's like, oh, you like comics?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, just like DC sent us this big box of just like trade paperbacks because we're working on Batman Caped Crusader. They're like, take whatever you want. And so I got a couple of Green Lantern trade paperbacks I didn't have.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
way to be at the right place at the right time.
Yeah. I was doing a documentary, producing a documentary about the show Lost.
Yeah,
and it's funny because Michael Giacchino, who's a friend of mine, when he was doing Lost, did it the same way that you did Green Lantern. Was like he doesn't want scripts ahead of time. He would just get sent over like a VHS tape,
a VHS
or a
tape,
DVD. Yeah.
back
And then
then.
like just be in the moment. He said he didn't want to like tip his cap to anything that could possibly be happening. He wanted to be, but let's talk about Batman Cape Crusader. What is it like jumping into I mean, you've done plenty of Justice League and Batman movies and stuff, but what was it like jumping into a Bruce Timm produced series about Batman? Because I feel like Elfman and Shirley Walker and everybody else who worked on the original series, like it kind of had a real similar tone to the original Batman the Animated Series. Did you feel all of that when you got this job?
I felt like I have never seen a shoe this big to fill.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy because, doing a Batman show, like, for example, Beware the Batman is for lack of a better term, easier because it had nothing to do with any of this other stuff. It was like, let's do our own thing. It's more edgy, modern. Let's use a whole bunch of synthesizers and drums and percussion. So great, I can do that. But then to come with something that, isn't just reminiscent of Bruce Timm's Batman the Animated Series, which I think arguably is possibly the best cartoon about Batman that there is and always will be.
Oh, yeah.
And not only that, but also Bruce is involved. So it feels like an impossible task. Like, how do you do service to the fans? How do you keep it fresh while giving homage to this, while leaning into the old 1940s and also not making it feel like you're just rehashing Shirley Walker, which, she's absolutely amazing and needs to be left alone in her greatness of what she's created for the show. So same with the Danny Elfman theme. So how this came about was it was described to me not as a sequel or as a replacement for it. It was called a spiritual cousin of Batman the Animated Series.
Okay.
And that is really helpful because I know that I can tap into this retro Art Deco world musically, but I don't have to do what they did. As long as we have a little bit of the period piece idea within the language of the orchestration and the lines and the harmonies, we're probably in pretty good shape. Now, the difficult part was the main title, because everybody knows the main title for Batman the Animated Series. And it's this rousing piece, It's become so iconic. So when we started talking about it, the first thought was, okay, yeah, we need something like that. And I was like, all right, great. So I wrote something in that spirit. With the ethos of Batman the Animated Series, and Bruce and James looked at it like, it's too much like that. We need something. And then Bruce had this idea. We're going to do something entirely different. I know the show is supposed to be similar in style and tone. Mm-hmm. However, I want this to feel like a dark detective opening, slow, images. There won't be an action sequence, Batman running rooftops. It will be just slow, black and white. That's kind of how I pitched it. And I was like, okay, I like that, because now we're trying to do something really different and fresh. Like, people will see this and go, oh, I did not expect this, but it's cool. Yeah. And that's how we came up with that theme. It's a very slow cello, dark, kind of detective-y, little bit of a noir thing in it, but kind of tapping lightly on that too. And, matching those slow black and white images of him just searching and being the detective in Gotham. And I love that concept because it really does set us apart from it. I think if we had leaned into what they did back with Danny Elfman, it would have been too much like, all right, it's just the same show, but a little different. Why do we need this?
Right.
So we kind of gave it that different tone right from the get-go. And I think that was a great choice. But I was sweating bullets when they released the main title, because they did that first. Before the show came out, they put that up on YouTube, and I was like, oh shit, they just released it. The fans are going to have, the pitchforks will show up at my house, because just like when I did Star Trek, I know the fan base is they're so into this, and you need to do them justice. And I knew they were going to listen to this going, what the fuck? This doesn't sound like Batman. What's going on here? But to my surprise, most comments were, this is actually kind of cool. I like how different it is. This is more detective-y. I like that. I like Batman the Detective. Oh yeah, it's super noir. I dig it. And they kind of got it. And I was very relieved because that's one of those things. You feel like you're naked, You've just exposed yourself to everyone, and they're looking at you. And Matt Reeves actually shared it on Twitter. That's how I found out that it was posted. And when I saw that tweet, I was like, I'm going to log off for the rest of the day. I'm not going to read anything because I'm going to be depressed. And that night, I dared to look at the comments. And like I said, people liked it for the most part. Yeah. There's always people that don't.
Yeah, but, I'm sure there's always people out there that are going to hate stuff. And
I think now it's grown on them because no one's mentioning the main title anymore. They're all like, this is cool. And they all love season 2. A lot of people say it's a little bit darker, more violent than season 1. And they like that about it. So
back to your horror roots.
Yeah. Always a lot of horror in that one. Yes, there is.
Did you have to do did they put out the cattle call for this show?
Yeah.
Or were you?
Did. So they did. Yeah. It's the same process. Even though I've done 14 movies for James and, plenty for Bruce Timm movies and shows.
Yeah.
They still go down that route, and that's again, I'm all for it. I'm not against it because it does present opportunities to people. Well, I mean, I'm
sure there's some you don't get picked on, but
I get picked very rarely given the amount of cattle calls I do. Let's put it that way. There's many I do. I don't get picked. I don't even get into the final rounds, which is fine. But in this case, you can win them all, but you do get lucky once in a while, and sometimes the material just speaks to me in a way that I just know what it needs, and I'm able to nail it, and they hear it and go, yeah, this is what we want. And
it's pretty fun. I like that the Batman Cape Crusader feels more set in a specific time period. Batman the Animated Series feels like it could possibly be modern. There's some they may have cell phones and stuff, but it looks very like Art Deco and Gothic.
Yeah.
It's very, this one feels specifically like it takes place in either the 20s, 30s, maybe.
Yeah. And we're sticking to it down to the gun technology and everything. It's very authentic. Yeah.
Are you sticking to, orchestrations, instruments, stuff like that?
Yeah.
That are very time period.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And is there, I don't know if you're a film score fan or if this is just something that you fell into. Okay. So are you going back and you listening to, are you going and listening to music from I don't know, Maltese Falcon and Casablanca? Are you getting into that stuff?
Absolutely.
Who are you listening to as far as that? Cause there's a big blind spot. I know Max Steiner and Franz Waxman and kind of those golden age composers, but there's not a lot other than those guys. Maybe Bernard Herrmann squeaks in there a little bit too.
He's the one. The only one I'm really drawing inspiration from in a great deal in terms of harmony usage and melodic ideas. I'm not taking his melodic ideas, but how he phrases melodies. What are these time specific sounds and aesthetics that are needed to create this feel from the 30s. And what you need to listen to is very early Bernard Herrmann, not the later stuff, but more Hangover Square, that era. And there's a lot in there. Yeah. And it's, when you listen to the couple episodes in season 1, in the action, there's xylophones on top, things like that, or there's a drum kit playing almost like a jazzy ride cymbal with the xylophone. And that's so iconic, specific to that period. And it's so fun to employ. And in this case, contrary to Green Lantern, we do have a much bigger budget to do an orchestra on every single cue, which is
so great,
so needed, because to get this authentic sound, you cannot do it in the box. I was when I did the demo, I was I can't send this in like that before I got hired, because it just doesn't those string runs, and it feels wrong if it's not done by an orchestra in this case.
You're right. Ever since I was a kid, it was a dream of mine to go to a scoring session.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure I'll get there at some point. My friend Michael, my friend Mick are both composers, and I've been bugging them for years to get in on a scoring session. Is it a thrill every time you go in and sit there with an orchestra?
Oh, it's the best. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is when the culmination of the work is this is it. And then you hear it played for the first time, you go, oh my God, this is so cool. Yeah.
And then the director gives you notes.
Yeah, which is fine. They're usually blown away too. They've heard MIDI versions of the whole score, and then suddenly an orchestra of 80 people plays it, and they're like, holy shit, this is incredible. And
it changes everything. Yeah.
There is obviously notes and things being addressed, but for the most part, things are approved by that point. So the changes are minimal. It's really mostly performance based.
Is there like a project or something that's like a dream project for you? Like right now you got to do like the space opera with Green Lantern, and you're doing like the noir stuff with Cape Crusader. You said you worked in horror. Is there something out there where you're like, man, I wish I could do that?
Star Wars.
Star Wars?
I want to do something Star Wars. Anything Star Wars. So I'm just going to put it out there. Yeah, no, okay. There was a time when, it's funny, like my manifestation seems to help, because when I did interviews during my horror period before Green Lantern, I kept saying I want to do superhero stuff. And then during that, I was doing interviews. I said I want to do Star Trek, and I did Star Trek. So now I'm saying Star Wars. So we'll see what happens.
You worked on Picard.
Yeah, which was amazing.
How talk about a franchise that has a really solid fan base and
oh my God.
How music should be. How was that?
It was incredible. I had to, aside from everything else on this whole job that was just phenomenal, the people and the music that they let me write, because the whole thing, season 3 of Picard, if you have watched it, it's a very different animal from season 1 and season 2. It's this big send off of the old crew of the Enterprise, and I, of all people, was tasked to write this freaking 7-minute cue where the old crew, Picard, Data, everybody goes back on the old Enterprise onto the bridge and sits down in their original positions, and they take off. And this was the ultimate fan moment for Star Trek fans, to see everybody back on the bridge of this retired ship that was in a museum in that episode. And then to basically reignite it and take off with Make It So. And that cue was the most intimidating thing I ever had to write. Full of Jerry Goldsmith and James Horner.
I was going to ask,
Alexander Courage, everything, a big suite of themes blending in and out on when he's touching the wall mural, when they talk about the carpet, how it's identical, how it's still the same. And so it was one of those.
The whole scene is about nostalgia, and here you are, having to
do this service, this enormous fan moment. So
the great. Yeah. I absolutely love Jerry Goldsmith.
So I do too.
Yeah. Do you have like a favorite composer out there? Like
right now?
Just in general. Like I'm a big fan. Like I like Elfman. I like James Newton Howard. I like John Barry.
Yeah.
I'm a big Bond fan.
Mm-hmm.
I like Williams, obviously.
John Barry was my gateway into becoming a film school fanatic. Yeah, that's a similar story than yours, because I really wanted to watch Dances with Wolves when I was 11, because it was 12 and up, and my mom wouldn't let me. So I got the soundtrack a year before I got to see the film. So I knew the music.
Just like Raiders.
I could sing
just
along.
Like me and Raiders.
Yeah. So I went to see it in the theater, and I was like, that's that cue. And I knew the names of all the cues. And that's when I that was the first time I became conscious that this is a job, that the person did this for this film. Wait a minute. And I think from that point, it was pretty clear that this is what I would like to do. So I studied my music and started composing myself. And along the way, I got to know all the other composers. But now I think currently I'm most excited to hear new scores by Benjamin Wallfish.
He's coming up. He's getting some good stuff.
That Alien score.
Yeah.
And Christoph Beck, I think, is still one of my absolute favorites. I love his stuff. And, everything Hans does is still also really exciting to me, because he doesn't do much these days, but when he does something, it's like, damn, this is cool. Like the whole Dune thing was so unique.
Yeah. I'm a massive James Bond fan.
Same.
And he did No Time to Die, which I thought was okay. I just love David Arnold and what he does with James Bond, and I kind of have been missing him. He hasn't done one since I think 2008.
Yeah, last time was
or something like that.
Was Casino Royale. Was Quantum? He did Quantum. Oh yeah,
he did Quantum. Yeah.
But
he did that. But like he recently just released that. He produced that the Lana Del Rey song.
Yep.
For the First Light video game.
Yeah.
And it brought me so much joy. It's so much like I missed that.
It was so Bond.
I missed that.
It was like the first chord. You're like, yeah, there we go.
Yep.
He's good at that.
And then, of course, John Barry. Yeah.
Legend.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I don't think I have much more to chat about unless you have something you want to bring up. Anything coming up that you have coming out. Again, I mentioned this earlier at the top of the show. Primitive War. I've been listening to that score since you agreed to come on here, and I've really been enjoying Primitive War.
Thank you. That was a romp.
Maybe not a movie. It's not probably like the big blockbusters that people are used to, but it's a really good score.
I mean,
I really been enjoying that.
You know, the movie's found an incredible audience, and thankfully so, because we had zero studio help. You know, you have to imagine this director in Australia. He's like, I'm gonna make a movie about dinosaurs in the Vietnam War, and no one wanted to help. Yeah. They're all like, "This is insane. What are you smoking?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "I'm doing this, whether you let me or not." And then he just did it himself, and he made this 2-hour movie that is pretty damn cool. The dinosaurs look fantastic as far as I'm concerned, and
I've heard nothing but good things. I want to check it out.
Yeah,
again,
please do, because you would be supporting indie filmmaking of just incredibly ambitious, cool ideas, which I think is what we need right now. I'm all for unique stuff. I don't need more sequels and remakes. I just need some fresh, cool. Like that's just such a wild concept that can go bad. So real quick, it can easily look like a bad Sci-Fi Channel movie or something, but it doesn't. Yeah. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of sequels, though, but if they do another Star Wars movie or show or series or something
call me.
that you're involved with, I'm sure you won't mind. Yeah,
no.
Yeah, 100%. Anything coming up for people to check out?
Yeah.
Are you working on anything now that's exciting that you can mention?
Yeah, there's 2 things I'm doing that I cannot mention because of NDAs, but the thing that's coming up,
that's exciting.
If you want to hear more superhero music from me, I was very lucky to do the next Thundermans movie. I don't know if you know the Thundermans on Nickelodeon.
I don't.
It's more for kids and teens. It's a little sitcom-y. They did like an 8 season.
I've seen the commercials.
Yeah, and now they made movies with the same crew, but just like standalone feature films, superhero films. So that's coming out October 3rd, I think, or September 3rd. It's and it's awesome. It's fun. I got to record an enormous orchestra in Vienna and had so much fun because it's like full on quintessential superhero stuff. Soundtrack's coming out too, so something to look forward to. If you like superhero music from me.
I use Apple Music, so I starred you as an artist on my...
Oh, good.
So,
thank you.
Cool. Thank you for joining me. Thanks everybody who joined me in the chat. Freddie, you're welcome to come back anytime. If you want to bug Giancarlo, that's fine. I should be doing that too.
I'll send him a text. He may be watching. I'll send him the link.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So I'll be back next week. I think we're talking about Green Lantern Corps number 19. And then I have a members only stream on Monday, which if you're a member of the Honor Guard here on the channel, you're going to want to be here for that one because it's the last show I'm doing before Lantern starts up. And I have some insight on the show. I'll just say that. So you're going to want to show up for that on Monday. Thanks again, everybody. I'll catch you next week. Until then, beware my podcast. It's Lanterns Live. Bye.
Bye.